Good morning and welcome to the morning jog. My name is Matt Cohan. It is what fucking day? It's Tuesday. It is overcast. It is raining. We are inside. My life sucks, but thankfully a higher power has bestowed upon me two, dare I say, beacons of hope in a trying time. Francis Ellis and Robbie Berger. Shine your light upon thee.
Heavens to Betsy, Matt Cohan. I mean, every day you're just up. You're creating. I don't know if I can live up to these fucking intros, man.
Matt's starting to pull a Francis. He's got a different background every time we record.
I know that looks like a puzzle.
Yeah,
it was like $40 off of a website. So I appreciate you guys really taking interest in that. But my spirits are remarkably low today. But the show must go on.
Hot start. Let's go.
It's only fitting that we begin with a story about unrelenting death. So without further ado, let's get into our viral story. Number one, the big mystery over the past few days is the status of North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. The 36-year-old has not been seen since April 11th, missing out on both the annual celebration of his grandfather and the country's Military Foundation Day ceremony within the last week. TMZ reported that the supreme leader has reportedly died or is on his deathbed with no hope for recuperation, citing Chinese and Japanese media. The Sun claims that based on unconfirmed reports that Kim was taken to the hospital after clutching his chest and falling to the ground while out in the countryside. He had a procedure to insert a stent, but it went wrong because the terrified surgeon's hands were shaking. South Korea says Jong-un is alive and well, while South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham said he'd be shocked if he wasn't dead. Francis, what do you make of this mystery?
Yeah, I think he's probably dead. I think, if I'm honest, his signs are poor.
Short take, but a hot one.
Yeah, no, but I mean. You know, who would like if any word of Kim Jong-un being dead got out of North Korea, then it means he's dead. If one person said it, because to say that the leader of North Korea is dead, if you are a citizen of North Korea, means that you will die. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
You're not allowed to say that about our dear leader, you know, the great God of the people, born in a volcano and all that crap. You're not allowed to say he had a heart attack because he's obese. If you say that, you get killed, right? So for someone to have taken the risk to have said, yeah, he fell down, had a heart attack, whatever, means it has to be true. I just think nobody would make that up. And I think he's dead. But I don't know if that's a good thing necessarily. His sister, who is going to come in and take over, probably seems pretty evil. So I don't know. That's my thought. I don't think it's going to be better necessarily.
Francis, I thought the same thing that you thought. And then I was reading, and apparently he loves French wine so much and Swiss cheese that he's developed a form of gout. So I don't know how that stuff is leaking, where we literally don't know one thing about anything that goes on in North Korea. It is going to be an electric 6-part Netflix documentary when this onion gets peeled back. Robbie, if you were a betting man, is smart money dead or alive here?
Well, I mean, look, leave it to TMZ to have some sort of source in North Korea, maybe the only site that's able to pull that off. So that's pretty amazing to me. As far as the surgeon goes, I think from her standpoint, that's the Super Bowl of surgeries right there. So you can't blame her for being a little bit nervous or being a little bit on edge. Totally understand that. My thing is, moving forward, if you're the surgeon, do you now want him to be dead, or do you want him to be alive? Because if he knows you botched the surgery, you're dead. And then at the same time, if he's dead, you're dead. So I just don't really know where the surgeon goes from here. But, I also think, dude, does North Korea call us to get updates on where Tom Brady is going to be playing next and things like that? So I find that to be pretty funny. But yeah, I think TMZ has never told a lie. I think he's just about dead.
Yeah, Robbie, and even if the surgeon just screwed up minorly, it's in his best interest just to finish the job. I mean, that's just a simple game theory equation. You're going to die. I mean, this dude has killed people for bad posture. He's killed people for falling asleep in meetings. If you slip a disc in his back, you're gonzo, buddy. So it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
What if you're that surgeon? What do you want to happen from there? I mean, what's going through that surgeon? I wouldn't be surprised if TMZ gets an interview with the surgeon by tomorrow.
Yeah, and I also loved how Robbie, you assumed that the surgeon was female, and then Matt assumed that it was a male surgeon. And I don't really know who's more sexist there, Matt for assuming it's a male surgeon, or Robbie for assuming that the surgeon didn't do their job and it had to be a woman.
I'll defend myself here. Speaking of doing your job, Matt, on the article, does it not say a she on the article?
It may, but my brain might have been like, there's no way this guy is trusting his health with a woman. He already considers them third-class citizens. So that must have been a typo on TMZ's part or whoever.
Yeah. I think we have an answer to your question there, Francis.
I like that. Okay, well covered, Robbie. Well done. Yeah.
While we're on the topic of dead dictators, I can't be the only one who thinks that the NFL draft nearly killed Roger Goodell over this weekend. I mean, on Thursday, the dude was dressed like a Joseph A. Bank mannequin, and by Saturday, he looked like his wife had just left him. I mean, am I being too hard on the commish here, Robbie?
Tell you that you cannot have transitioned that any better than you did. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to double down and I'm going to agree with you. Look, Goodell now wants 17 or an extra game in a regular season. These guys are sweating blood, sweat, and tears, risking their lives every day on the football field. And this guy can't stand up for a couple hours. Mind you, during the commercial break of these things, he's able to take a seat. I mean, he was lounging. I just think that ended up looking ridiculous. His crotch was directly into the camera. So if you're a third-round draft pick, you got to start your career by looking at Roger Goodell's crotch. And look, first rounder, second rounder, fifth rounder, I don't think anybody deserves that. Totally agree with you, Matt.
ESPN basically zooming in on Goodell's Johnson for 3 hours was definitely an interesting production choice. But What do you got for us, Francis?
Well, you guys tell me, is Roger Goodell more liked or disliked in the court of public opinion?
I'd say 100% disliked, right?
Maybe the most disliked commissioner, I think, in sports history.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? I remember 7 years ago that Roger Goodell was known as the guy who, at the draft, would dap and hug every guy who was drafted. They'd have secret handshakes. They'd be exchanging recipes. He seemed like he was so in tune with the vibrations of the players and so well-liked. You didn't see Adam Silver dapping up rookies from Kentucky. You know what I mean? So I just didn't understand. It was hard to square that. So are you telling me now that he's fallen out of opinion? And is it because of all the helmet and concussion stuff? Or is it because of, I don't really get what he's going for here. I don't understand if maybe he kind of fell apart in this draft coverage because he wasn't able to be there dapping up the new guys. And I know that was a big time for him. But you guys tell me, I mean, do the players hate him or do the fans hate him more?
Robbie, you take this for me.
Yeah, I mean, the players definitely. I think there's no doubt about it. But the bottom line is, and I don't think he usually does the second and third round. I think he stops after one. And that's pretty much what he did. I mean, he just totally checked out of this thing to the point where he was like Mr. Rogers on the couch, just lying down in his living room. He couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, and I think, Francis, you bring up the point where all of the draftees are dapping him up. I think that's because they don't know him yet. Like, you don't see
Yeah,
any
yeah,
like
that's true.
actual NFL players like dapping him up or giving him a hug. This guy is a buffoon, but I think he came out of this actually with his stock soaring because he was more relatable than he's ever been. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, he started out the draft and he had a can of M&Ms and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to eat
Yes.
these." And then he got drunk. I think he had the thick tongue. He stumbled over the word coronavirus a few times. So he's basically down to sweatpants come Saturday. So I mean, if there's anything to kind of endear yourself to the average football fan, I think Goodell did it. So I was actually very pleased with his performance aside from everything else he's ever done in his
If
life.
I can just
Yeah,
add one more thing, I actually caught him. He made a big announcement that the Las Vegas Raiders will be hosting the 2020 NFL draft during the NFL 2020 draft, which they get now
great.
to 2021. And he mentioned 2020 while he's standing there in the NFL 2020 draft.
I like the guy. I don't know what it is. I really have grown to like him. I don't know if I'm just being, against the tide here, but I think he's a good dude.
Francis, do you have a particular allegiance to an NFL team?
Yeah, I'm a Giants fan. New York Giants, the New York Football Giants.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know you're a Pats fan.
I'm a Pats fan, so it's our constitutional right to hate this guy, dude.
Hell yeah.
But while Roger was hammered in what looked like his basement, Californians said fuck it to stay-at-home orders and flooded the Newport Beach this weekend. 40,000 people flooded Newport Beach in California on Saturday, despite California Governor Gavin Newsom's pleading people to stay at home, tweeting, "You have the power to literally save lives." The turnout was twice as many as Thursday, with the majority coming from Los Angeles and San Diego. Lifeguard Battalion, which is the thing, Chief Brian O'Rourke said, "We're seeing a huge increase in crowds that would normally see in the middle of the summer. Newport Beach is open, but the parking lot, pier, and boardwalk are closed to try to deter crowds." Francis, as a guy who is currently at large for sneaking out and playing a half dozen hole of golf, do you empathize with these people?
Well, I think the biggest thing here is that so many of us saw Floridians, which are people that live in Florida, taking to the beaches and in early, right? And we all said, well, those people are stupid. Shame on Florida. Florida is always going to do what they do. It's the scrotum of the United States, as I think Patton Oswalt put it. And yet now you've got Californians doing the same thing. And so it's clear that it's not just some hick, ignorant move to want to get to the beach. You've got elite West Coast Californians who, like the rest of us, everyone wants to go to the beach. And I think it just shows that regardless of how stupid you are, everyone has a breaking point. And they are, I guess, going to the beach. Didn't they lift the order, though? Didn't they say it was okay for them to go? I mean, the beaches were closed.
I believe it is okay for them to go. Yeah, they closed down the boardwalk in the parking area, but I think it is currently legal for them to congregate on
so
those
if you
beaches.
make it legal, how is Gavin Newsom's tweet not going to make, how is that going to move the needle at all? If they open the ban, if they open the beaches, people are going to go. That's as simple as that.
Right. And as a guy who lives in Los Angeles, Robbie, this might hit close to home for you. What's your take?
My take is stupid doesn't stop at Florida. I think Francis said it best. This is really something that you expect out of Florida, whether it's legal or not. But it's not like this was just an average day on the beach. This looked like something straight out of Woodstock. I mean, I don't know if you guys seen the photos or whatnot, but this was really something. I mean, they were crawling all over the place, beachgoers. So again, in the whole report, I kept thinking this is such a Florida thing to happen. Turns out it already did. It just carried on over to California, which is surprising, but a harsh reality of, like Francis said, people have a breaking point.
Right. And I have a park near me, and people, whenever there's even a glimmer of sunlight out, people flood this thing. like it turns into Epcot, but it's it's okay because there aren't going to be news cameras there and there aren't going to be aerial shots of the park. So isn't there a little hypocrisy here, Francis? Or it's kind of like we're going to stand 6 feet away while we're sharing a cigarette.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I think a week ago we were all looking at people who were gathering to protest in Detroit, and we were making fun of the mayor of Las Vegas. We were saying, "Oh, these people who are encouraging people to reopen businesses and whatnot and to congregate. It's too soon. It's too soon. These people are stupid." But then you've got I guarantee you that a lot of the people that went to that beach in California were tweeting their horror and their dismay at those Detroit protesters and the mayor of Las Vegas. So I do think there's a lot of hypocrisy at play here. And I think at some point we're just going to have to live with the consequences. You know what I mean?
Right. At least these people had the courage to be who they really are. That counts for something, Robbie. There you have it, folks. Your Tuesday edition of the Morning Jog. We hope we were able to provide you at least a sprinkle of joy in what promises to be a very shitty day. We will see you same time, same place on Wednesday. Tell your friends or don't, because nothing matters. Peace.